Hey everyone, welcome to Be the Change. My name is Lily Mott, and today I'm going to be talking about how change comes when you invest in every opportunity. My guest this week is Yara Ghanem, and she is a social development advocate raising awareness about feminism, human rights, and other issues in her home country of Syria and around the world with the United Nations Foundation Girl Up initiative. I learned a lot about Yara's work and about the issues facing young people in Syria, and I'm excited to share our conversation. So, without further ado, let's get started with this episode featuring Yara Ghanem.
So basically, I am a medical student studying in Syria. Although I'm studying medicine, but I do a lot of things that are not related to medicine because I feel that I need to do something and I need to do something related to social development. I started this back in 2018. It was pretty simple when I started like the social development work when I joined an association where we were trying to raise awareness against bullying. It was just as simple as a theater play. But after that, and after I got like into this work, I started to realize that we can do a lot. It's not just as simple as a theater play or something. We can do a lot. I joined the debate community in Syria, and it opened my eyes to the problems that we have in our community, not just in Syria, but all over the world. And I realized that I can just have this mix between realizing the problem and finding their solutions and acting towards the solutions and trying to maybe have this, change or make this change. And then I met Girl Up. I in 2020 was the first time I hear about Girl Up. It was when they were preparing for the leadership summit. I was just astonished by what is this and how can I join it. But when I just visited their website, I realized it's not only an event but also a whole movement going around and a whole movement that is taking action towards a lot of things and making a lot of change. So I decided to start this in Syria, and it was pretty difficult for me because in Syria they are all supporting you, but they're not helping you to do something because everything is difficult, and you're just a kind of founding a club that belongs to an international movement, like with UN Foundation and with Girl Up that is based in DC. And this is pretty difficult for us in Syria because everything now, in terms of wars, in terms of all the problems that we have, they consider they consider it vicious. So I was trying to make change the way I can and as much as I can, but to an extent there were a lot of obstacles that were facing us. And then I just felt like we have to just grow it globally, not just thinking of, oh, I have to grow this club in Syria and just take action on the ground because it's pretty difficult. You have to have a license or something to make your work legal so that you can work on the ground. But when I realized like it's okay if we can't do this work on ground, we can just join the movement like online and try to just get to know what they're doing like generally all over the world by just getting to know girls who are advocating for their rights, for their future. And this is actually when I started to grow like more. I always define myself as someone who's interested in human rights and social justice. Previously, always I was always saying like I'm a feminist, but then I realized that feminism is a crucial part and a crucial element of human rights. And if I'm saying I'm a feminist, I'm maybe missing a part of my personality and the things that I'm passionate about. And I started to find that human rights are more inclusive and more descriptive or more accurate to describe myself with. So generally, back in 2019 and 2020, it was the beginning for me to grow as a social activist. I don't know if I can call myself now a social activist, but like a big part of my life is to see this social development in my community in Syria and maybe in the whole globe.
That was a great start, and I'm so excited that you were able to find and then, of course, do all of this work with Girl Up. And they offer so many opportunities, and just there's so many connections. So I think it's really nice that you had their support getting started with the club. And you mentioned how challenging it was to get started and then develop this club in Syria. So, can you tell me more about the challenges that young people are facing, and what are some of the biggest concerns for Syrian young people right now?
Sure. Thank you for asking the question. Actually, one important thing that I care about in terms of my, let's say, international networking with like, let's say, Girl Up members in general, or like debate community internationally, is that I want to raise awareness of what's going on in Syria and how war is affecting Syrian youth in general. So to start off with this, before I got to know Girl Up, I was in like I was participating in a championship called WSEC, which is World School Debating Championship, and there I got to know like amazing youth from all over the world who are great debaters. And we were friends. We were making friends, and we have each other on social media, Facebook, Instagram. And I was like following them and seeing how they are doing great job, and they are uh, actually maybe investing very important opportunities. They're traveling, they're attending conferences, they're attending internships. I was asking myself, why can't I do something like that? I started to reach out to them and ask them like, how can I do this and do that, and how can I participate in all these stuff? They helped me. They just actually guided me to visit some websites, some opportunity like for youth opportunities, and I started to submit some applications to different opportunities. But the thing is that Syrian youth don't have access to all, let's say, knowledge resources. So by saying that, for a girl in Syria who is investing every and each single opportunity that exists in her society, if you see my CV, for example, you say, okay, it's okay. But if you compare it to the, let's say, opportunities that we have in Syria, it's great because I'm trying to invest every single opportunity that we have. But the thing is that we don't have a lot. So Syrian youth are not very fully represented. And if represented, if you compare them to other internationally, you will see this gap. You will see that a youth UK is definitely uh, doing much greater job than what a Syrian youth like living in Syria. This is one side. Another side of this dilemma, let's call it, is that Syrian youth actually are suffering from war since 2011. Maybe now it's not more no more like bombs and explosions, but it's more like economic sanctions and political sanctions imposed by different governments. So the thing is that it's very difficult for us to participate in any, let's say, opportunity unless you have this very like powerful application that will, like for example, the entity that is organizing this opportunity is very interested in you, that it's going to do a lot of great jobs to help you get there or go there, because it's very difficult for us to get visas and to just apply to travel to any country around the world, and that's like a few countries. Another thing, I don't know if you know about that, but for example, even Zoom that I'm using now, I use a VPN to open it because it doesn't work in Syria. And a lot of websites and knowledge websites and websites that are crucial for us to learn and to grow are not permitted or not allowed in Syria. So I have to open VPN. Sometimes it works, sometimes it's not. And even like more participation in the Global Leadership Summit as an MC was a big challenge for me, and I was very honored to be the MC at one of the like or co-MCing this event, even though I'm living in Syria. It means that I'm representing the Syrian community with all its challenges. So I feel it's something big and something important because it's not easy for us to join such an important event by just our internet connection in Syria. I mean, these might seem kind of uh, like simple, but for people who are suffering from this for, let's say, 11 years now or 10 years now, it's pretty big. electricity shortage, economic inflation, a lot of economic, let's say, problems that we are facing in Syria is affecting the way and mental health uh, we have. So if you compare yourself to what um, living and feeling and doing around the globe, I really feel that like I'm very I very I appreciate Syrians because they are still let's say advocating and they're still working. They're doing a great job. Whenever I see a Syrian youth got a scholarship or got an internship or just participated in anything, I feel like my heart is getting bigger and bigger because it just we are struggling. We're just doing a great job by just continuing to try and attempt like and not stop.
That's so interesting. And thank you for explaining the VPN connection and just all of that, because I think it's such an important part of your reality, especially as a young person and as you're trying to connect to the rest of the world. And I think it's so uplifting that you get to work with Girl Up as well. And I would love to have you tell me more about that work. So you talked about it a little bit earlier. What made you choose to work with Girl Up to address these problems that you're so concerned about?
Yeah, uplifting is a very like accurate word or adjective to describe the journey. So as I told you, when I just found Girl Up, I was thinking like, wow, what is this platform that is uniting girls from all over the world and working? And it's pretty simple. The idea is pretty simple. It's just as simple as five girls and their leader trying to have their club and trying to make change. It's very simple. I know it's not simple in Syria, and I know it was not going to be simple in Syria, but the idea in general was very great. One very interesting thing that made me go for Girl Up is, and I always say this, in the Arab region or in the Arab world, we fail to unite politically. I feel that the Girl Up Coalition in general, Girl Up Arab World Coalition, is uniting Arab girls. And I or I was raised in a like a community in Syria, and especially in my family, where they support us to feel that we belong to this. We don't call it in Arabic the Arab world; we call it the Arab country. So we feel that we all belong to this country, and unfortunately, because of this, politics and all these problems that we are facing, we're not feeling that we all belong to this one country, what we call it Arab country. But in Girl Up, I felt so. She reached out to me, the Girl Up Arab World Coalition founder, Viva Jan. When I just went, once I signed and I created my account on Girl Up, she just reached out and she was supporting me like, yes, yeah, we're very like exciting to start a club in Syria, and thank you for registering. And I know if you need any help. So that day I felt like, yes, I want to do this because in the same day or on the same day, she added me to a WhatsApp group of girls from all over the Arab world, and I was feeling like this is something very important. Let's take it like let's take everything. Like maybe there are a lot of organizations that are working on, let's say gender equality and human rights, but Girl Up has this networking thing and making girls from all over the world meet each other and exchange their thoughts, ideas, interests, and try to make change like on their own. I never forget when I was. I am also Develop Arab World Coalition co-leader for this year, and when I was just feeling like upset because I felt like I was kind of lost and confused about what I'm going to do because I feel like it's a big responsibility and something important that I am doing. So I reached out to someone in Girl Up, and I was thinking like, I don't know what to do. I don't have a plan. You have to tell me what to do to know if I'm going on the right track or I'm just like messing things up. So she told me, this is what we do in Girl Up. We don't tell you what to do. We let you create what you want to do. So the thing is that in Girl Up, they don't tell us you have to do so and so. They tell us just do whatever you feel you need to do and what you feel you have to do and what you feel you can do so that you feel that you are making the change you want to be and making the change that you love to see. This is very interesting about Girl Up. So yeah, it's like to conclude, let's say networking in general and for a girl, like a girl from the Arab world, uh, uniting in terms of like uniting, let's say, intellectually in terms of Arab feminism and real feminism is very important for me. Um, and personally, I can say that Girl Up opened to me a lot of opportunities. Um, I would never like one of them is the leadership summit. I'm seeing the global leadership summit. One of them, I was nominated to participate in a workshop with UN women on CSW or Commission on the Status of Women. I met you. I met a lot of girls from around the globe who are, and like they are just learning more about the Syrian youth and Syrian ladies, let's say young ladies who are actually, let's say, doing a lot of great job in Syria.
I'm so glad that you found that community and you found the resources to support you in your work. And I think it's so great that you get to learn more about other young women from around the world while you also get to share your story and tell them about Syria. It's a win win. And I think everyone gets to learn with one another and about one another. And it's just so interesting. So I have one last question for you. Lots of young people want to create change and they want to make a difference, but they may not know how to get started. Do you have any advice for those people who may be listening?
This is a great question. I feel I'm responsible for doing this in Syria, not like globally. I hope I can do this globally one day or internationally. But as I told you, in Syria, we have this lack of resources in terms of knowing about opportunities, about getting access or having access to certain websites and certain platforms. And so, since I was able to make my own way of getting to know these opportunities and these learning methods, or let's say learning resources, I feel that I have this responsibility to transmit this information, like let's say knowledge or experience to the Syrian community. So, starting with Girl Up, when I started Girl Up, I wanted all girls in Syria to know about Girl Up. And this year, I was also selected to participate in a global summit on advocacy and leadership in Toronto with Fora Network for Change. And one of the main reasons that I was applying to this opportunity is that I wanted to get the resources and get the info, like the knowledge on leadership and advocacy to transmit it to my community, especially youth community. Um, if I have an advice or a piece of advice to the youth in general, I would tell them never hesitate to reach out to your, let's say, motivational peers. Try to always be open. Try to ask because if I didn't ask one of my peers or one of my WSEP friends, I would have never heard about some opportunities. So this may seem or may sound simple, but it's pretty important for me. So just try to ask, try to reach out to people who are inspiring you and support others. Because whenever you feel that you are supporting others and being inspired by them, you will feel you have the motivation to do so. And they see that you are actually happy for them. They will help you to be they will help you to do the same they are doing. This is maybe what I can say in general. In Syria, I would say try to invest every single opportunity that you have because for us as Syrian youth, and I don't know how many times I said that, facing and struggling from shortage of resources and opportunities, we have to prove ourselves and prove that we are investing every single opportunity that we have to let the people to let people know how interested and how passionate we are about what we are doing, even though we have this lack of opportunities, but every single opportunity that we have is important. And there's something I don't know if it's actually something related to a previous question about the struggles in Syria, for example, and about the uh, sanctions and VPN issues. And so, actually, I was working as an online Arabic tutor on a platform. I was doing great. Um, I was rated 5 stars, and I had a lot of students in 1 month. But suddenly, out of the blue, when I was having my verification account, verifying my account and trying to withdraw my earnings, They told me, like, you are Syrian, you cannot continue working for our platform. We have to block you after we give you your current earnings, because it's not legally okay to not give you your current earnings. But after that, after you withdraw your money, you're not going to be able to work with us anymore. Thank God I had some of my students that I had their contact information, their emails, and they were very interested in my tutoring method, and they wanted me to keep working and to keep tutoring them and helping them. So I continued working with some of them. But in general, just talking about this, it's pretty unfair to see something like that. That just because of sanctions or Syrian people are not able. They told me it was very, very offending and very humiliating. They told me unless you have documents other than Syrian documents, you cannot work with us. So pretty humiliating for me. And from this, I can go to my third piece of advice: don't surrender and don't give up. After they just blocked me from from their website, I started to post on Facebook groups for foreign expats in the Gulf, in the Arab region, saying that I am an Arabic tutor. I just asked for some recommendation letter from my previous students, and I just post this on Facebook, on my Instagram, and on social media to let people know that I am working as an Arabic tutor, because it's not okay for me just because we are facing sanctions and we are struggling with sanctions and with problems that we are going to surrender. So even though you see that you're not meeting or you're not having enough opportunities, don't surrender, because for me it was not the first time when I applied to an opportunity or to an internship, I was selected. No, I applied to a lot of internships where I was not selected. But finally, when I describe this as growing and as being, or let's say, investing in every single opportunity that I had in Syria, every single opportunity online, whether it's like any, let's say, a webinar, any online internship that would make seem simple and not very important. I just invested it, uh, had a lot of people who I got to know, and I grow intellectually to reach this point where I was selected to represent or to be a delegate for my country in a global summit on leadership. So yeah, this will be my third piece of advice: like, don't give up, don't surrender.
I think Yara shared some great advice throughout the episode, and I want to highlight her last point about taking every opportunity that comes to you. Yara has tried out all of the opportunities that have come her way, and as she mentioned, she hasn't always been successful in getting all of them, but some really important ones have worked out for her, like some of the summits and the other work she's done with Girl Up, and those opportunities breed new ones. Yara's story is so interesting, and I think it really speaks to her advice about how change comes when you invest in every opportunity. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and you can find Yara on Instagram at Yara_Ghanem_ to get connected with her. You can also find Girl Up Syria on Instagram at Girl Up Syria. If you want to talk about anything I mentioned, please reach out to me by email at lily@bethechangepodcast.org or on Instagram at bethechangepodcast. Tune in for my next episode, but until then, be the change you wish to see in the world. Bye, guys.